go ahead and get into today's movie, which is Pam Grier and Foxy Brown. Now, to me, this is actually the second best of um, Pam Grier's four main films. So anybody that knows Pam Grier follows her closely knows she's been in a lot of movies and she's a Blaxploitation beauty, man. We love Pam Grier. But there was a series of four movies that she was kind of like the main billing in during 73, 74, 75, and they were Coffee, which to me is the top one. That's the best to me. And shout out to the guys over at the Black Death 101 podcast, because they do podcasts on Blaxploitation movies, and they did an episode on Coffee, went into deep detail. So I highly encourage you to check those guys out and what they're doing. I'll put a link in the show notes probably. But then Foxy Brown was number two to me, which came out in 1974. And then 1975, there was actually two released, Sheba Baby and Friday Foster. And to me, those are kind of like neck and neck, the bottom two of the four. But Foxy Brown, man, it's just again, when I talk about the campiness of Blaxploitation, this is wonderful, and it's great to see Pam kicking butt throughout this movie. The way it starts is kind of like almost an homage to James Bond movies, because it actually opens with like a Pam Grier dance montage with her dancing to the theme song to the great from Willie Hutch, who, I mentioned Willie Hutch in episode one when he did the soundtrack to the Mac, but he also did the soundtrack to Foxy Brown. And the theme song the movie starts off with her dancing to the theme song, and it is like, it's just cool. Like I said, it's reminiscent of James Bond, but it's just lovely, man, because you see like silhouettes of Pam Grier, and anybody that knows Pam Grier knows she was very curvaceous. So the silhouette and the dancing, it's real cool. So what's the premise and the plot of the movie in and of itself? In a nutshell, Foxy Brown is out to get revenge on people who murdered her boyfriend. That's the movie in and of itself in a nutshell. And who you got in this movie is, of course, the lovely Pam Grier. You have a Blaxploitation legend, Antonio Fargas, who plays her brother Link. And, he did some trifling stuff, but there's one particular scene in the movie that I love to, when I think about going back and how many times I've watched this movie. This particular scene with Link always stands out. So let me share this with you real quick, see if we can get this up and running.
Foxy, look, I'm a black man, and I don't know how to sing, and I don't know how to dance, and I don't know how to preach to no congregation. I'm too small to be a football hero, and I'm too ugly to be elected mayor. But I watch TV, and I see all them people in all them fine homes they live in, and all them nice cars they drive, and I get all full of ambition. Now you tell me what I'm supposed to do with all this ambition I got.
Ugly, she a politician. You tell me what I'm supposed to do with all this ambition. So that's just classic Blaxploitation, man. So Antonio Fargas, like I said, plays her brother Link. Terry Hicks Carter, which I'm trying to think, what was the name? I think he was in Brother on the Run, but he plays Foxy's boyfriend and kind of got did dirty by Link, which I'll talk about in a minute. Other people who was in this movie is Sid Haig. If you're not familiar with Sid Haig, he was you've seen him in a lot of Pam Grier movies that were directed by Jack Hill, like Big Birdcage, think Black Mama, White Mama. He was, I believe Sid Haig was in Coffee. Tall, white guy, kind of creepy looking, but he was actually in a lot of horror films too. He has a small role, but Sid Haig, to me, I always like the guy. So whenever he's in a scene, you can expect either some humor or something crazy. And so the little role he plays is cool. Bob Miner, Robert Lee Miner, I'll talk about this vigilante group that was part of the movie. He plays kind of like the lead group, the lead vigilante that helps Foxy out and getting her revenge and all that stuff. And then the cool thing about Bob Miner is he was actually the person who coordinated all the stunts because for a while he was the president of the Black Stuntmen's Association in Hollywood. The lovely Juanita Brown, which would have been able to do a lot more movies. She starred in Black Starlet, but she plays a pseudo friend of Foxy as Foxy goes undercover to try to expose this ring that killed her boyfriend. And then the two main bad guys are Peter Brown and Catherine Loder, who play some kind of like weird sickles. But that's kind of the main people who are in this movie and kind of how it starts off. So if I were to give you the overview of how the movie starts off, the link, so Antonio Vargas, he's being followed by some thugs who are basically ready to give him a beat down. So you can kind of see him kind of like looking around, getting followed by these thugs. And he hits this little restaurant stand. He kind of gets a reprieve when these cops show up. So he's like kind of sucking up to the cops and trying to keep the cops around so the guys can't beat him up. And then what he does is while he's kind of got a little bit of a reprieve, he calls Foxy on the phone, asks her to come save him. And so she shows up and, rescues him from the thugs. And then we cut to where Foxy's in the hospital and her boyfriend is all wrapped up in bandages. And she's like, what's this about? But basically, he's gone through facial reconstruction surgery because he got roughed up in a drug case. He's a policeman and was undercover, got roughed up in a drug case and all this good stuff. So he gets a whole new identity. And then, throughout this, what happens is, we get a little glimpse of the neighborhood vigilantes, Bob Miner, his group roughing up local drug dealers. So, that was kind of cool, the revolutionary aspect of pushing the drugs out of the hood type of deal. But Foxy introduces her new boyfriend or her boyfriend under the new identity, Mike, I forget his last name, but she introduces him to Link. And Link, her brother, sort of makes the connection that, this dude seemed familiar. And so he finds through some kind of sleuthing and snooping type of deal, he makes the connection that Link is actually this dude named Dalton Ford, who was the police officer who went undercover for the people who Link is pushing for and owed money to. So in efforts to get in their good graces, what he winds up doing is he winds up selling Mike/Dalton Ford out to people and telling them who this guy really is. And they wound up killing him. So, Foxy's mad than a mug, and actually she goes and beats Link's ass and to find out how to get in with the people that killed her. So let me show you this particular scene here. This is where she this is just a little snippet of where she lets Link have it, or at the end of when she let Link have it. So, yes.
But they gotta stick a dynamite up your ass and the fuse is burning. You understand me?
So yeah, she had just pretty much, I think she shot him in the ear and roughed him up, but she was trying to find out from Link, how do I get in with these people? And he's like, hey, Foxy, you don't want to mess with these people, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, she don't care. Foxy's like, I'm going in. So she starts working to break that organization down. Oh, and I should have been. Let me get out of the way so you can see some of these beautiful pictures. That's when she went to hook up with the revolutionaries. She works to help one of the girls. That's who Claudia, Juanita Brown is the chick named Claudia. She works to help her get out of the case, and that resulted in out of the life that resulted in a brawl in a lesbian bar, which is hilarious. The two bad guys, so Peter Brown, Catherine Loder, they actually figure out that who Foxy is, so that she's the boyfriend or the girlfriend of Dalton Ford, who they wound up killing. So they actually catch her, they dope her up, they send her off to this like freak off ranch where these rednecks kind of like beat, whip, and sexually assault Foxy. But again, we talking Pam Grier here, so she ain't gonna stay down for too long. So what happens is she winds up escaping, setting the ranch and the rednecks on fire, and then through all of this, the crime syndicate kills Foxy's brother Link, and while they're looking for Foxy, and then that's when again Foxy connects with the vigilante group. She she sparks an all-out war with the syndicate. She jacks a plane. That's where Sid Haig comes in as the plane operator. And then to kind of wrap this thing up at the end with the vigilantes, they wound up catching Peter Brown and bringing him to Foxy. And she wound up this thing off. And at the very end of the movie, she actually returns his thing in a jar to Captain Loader to say, hey, now, you killed my man. I ain't kill your man, but look what I did to him. And you got to live with him without his schlong for the rest of his life. So that was pretty much the premise, the overall premise of the movie itself. And like I said, just being able to see the lovely Pam Grier, man, throughout this thing and different, just how, I mean, you can't say how gorgeous, can't say enough how gorgeous Pam Grier, man, is, man. She's just freaking beautiful. But, and then if let me see, share this one with you. This is when, I think this one is when
What's the trouble, officer?
There's plenty of trouble for you, Spook. Unless you turn right around and go back where you came from. This road's closed.
Oh, yes, sir. We sure don't want no trouble. And neither do you, Whitey?
Sir.
So that was Bob Miner as the vigilante, and how that's when they actually rolled up to get the bad guys. But I love Bob Miner, man, because like I said, he coordinated the stunts in the movie for a while. He was the president of the Black, I don't know if it's the whole Hollywood Stuntmen's Association, but definitely Black Stuntmen's Association. So cool dude. And if you look at his face, you might remember him from JD's Revenge. All right. So that's Foxy Brown, man. And if nothing else, I'll leave you with one final clip, which kind of just shows Foxy in all her essence. If this doesn't define Pam Grier and, at her best, I don't know what does. So check this one out real quick. This is where basically, even when Pam Grier gets captured and caught, or is in the midst of the bad folks, she still got the swag and the stuff to show that she gonna kick butt. So check this one out.
Don't pinch the fruit, faggot.
So he was trying to shake her down, trying to fill her up. She like, don't pinch the fruit, faggot. So gotta love it, man. All right, so that's our movie for this week. Foxy, Pam Grier and Foxy Brown. So make sure you check that one out.